Welcome back to the Crypto channel, everyone. My name is Josh, and right now, while Bitcoin is bouncing from this important area of support in the shorter term, we're seeing a massive warning signal officially confirm on this Bitcoin chart, which I'll talk about in just a moment, while Ethereum just confirmed a weekly candle close exactly on this line of support, while Solana is still playing out the short-term bullish divergence and running into key resistance, while XRP is also still playing out the bullish divergence, while Chainlink is now bouncing from this critical line of support. So I'll be talking about all of that and more later in the video, so definitely watch to the end. First of all, just before taking a look at the Bitcoin charts today, taking a quick look at the Bitcoin news today, because Michael Saylor just announced that Strategy, that is right, it's no longer MicroStrategy, it's just called Strategy, bought more Bitcoin. In fact, they bought another 7,633 Bitcoin for around $750 million US, around 742 million US dollars. And they bought this recent amount of Bitcoin right here at around $97,000 per Bitcoin. And in case you're wondering, the company Strategy, previously MicroStrategy, currently holds around 478,000 Bitcoin that they acquired for a total of $31 billion approximately, which as of right now, that Bitcoin is currently worth a lot more. And so basically, one of the largest Bitcoin whales in the world, Strategy, previously known as MicroStrategy, once again, is continuing to accumulate massive amounts of Bitcoin, basically anytime they have the spare funds. And in some other Bitcoin news today, a company known as Metaplanet is set to acquire 21,000 Bitcoin worth approximately $2 billion US by the year 2026. So moving forward over this following year or so, we're set to see a lot of buying pressure by these major companies like this one right here, and of course Strategy accumulating more and more Bitcoin. And so just keep this in mind. Fundamentally speaking, Bitcoin is looking very bullish over the longer term, because obviously there's a very strict amount of Bitcoin to go around, a strict supply limit, which means ultimately we're going to run out of Bitcoin with all of this accumulation happening, which will force the price upwards over the longer term, despite what may happen in the shorter term. And in some more entertaining crypto news today, the Central African Republic, that is right, the country in Africa, actually just launched their own meme coin. So we now have entire countries launching meme coins. So obviously things are getting quite crazy at the moment in the meme coin space in crypto. And obviously, as a general disclaimer, the meme coin sector in particular is going to be very high risk. So keep that in mind. Personally, I will not be buying this meme coin, but I just thought it would be something kind of entertaining to throw in this video, because we now have countries launching meme coins. But with that being said, taking a look at the Bitcoin charts today, on this weekly Bitcoin chart, technically speaking, we can still remain within a larger bull market despite what happens perhaps over the coming weeks or possibly over the next 1 or 2 months, for example. Technically speaking, we are within a larger bull market. When we're zooming out, looking at the bigger picture, we are forming higher lows and higher highs on these larger timeframes. And usually these bull market signals that we've seen in the past play out over potentially around a year, give or take. And so far, it's only been a number of months, since around September to October last year is when this bull market signal confirmed. And obviously since then, it has been playing out since the price was at around $60,000. And with that being said, if we're taking a look at this 4-day Bitcoin chart, the super trend indicator is still sitting in the green, indicating a larger bullish trend. But if we're taking a look at this weekly Bitcoin chart, over the last 1 day, we have now just confirmed a bearish crossover in the weekly Bitcoin MACD. And the last time we confirmed this signal on this time frame for the price of Bitcoin was around the end of April 2024, leading into May 2024. And what came next in the price of Bitcoin was more of a bearish trend that lasted for a number of months. In fact, for roughly around half a year, we did see more of a bearish trend in the price of Bitcoin. Not necessarily a massive bear market or a massive crash, but a bit more of a bearish trend, basically, for around half a year. But it's important to understand that this is not always the outcome from a bearish crossover in the weekly Bitcoin MACD. For example, if we're looking at the time before that, we did see a bearish crossover around the start of August and end of July 2023. And what came next was a bit of a dump in the price of Bitcoin over the next 1 month approximately, but not necessarily a massive bearish trend for months. And we actually saw a very small false signal around June 2023, where we did see a little short-term dump for around a week in the price of Bitcoin, but nothing too major, basically a false bearish crossover in this indicator. But overall, of course, more often than not, this signal is indeed bearish for the price of Bitcoin, but obviously it does not tell us exactly how bearish. So for example, like I just said, we may end up seeing a slight little pullback continue for maybe just a number of weeks, or possibly more of a bearish trend for a number of months. And we also have to consider the fact that at least as of right now, in the shorter term, the price of Bitcoin is simply lacking momentum to either direction. So even though we technically have just confirmed a bearish crossover in this indicator on the weekly time frame, this does not mean that we have a lot of bearish momentum right now. And obviously for the last couple of months, we've clearly been lacking bullish momentum for around 1 to 2 months. And so honestly, I'll not be surprised that if in the coming weeks, the price of Bitcoin continues just somewhat range bound, chopping around sideways, and perhaps we do not really see a lot of bearish momentum after this bearish crossover here, possibly a slight little pullback or a little bit of a bearish trend, but I do not necessarily expect a major crash based on this signal alone. And that idea also aligns with this Bitcoin chart on the weekly time frame, because right now we do have a massive bearish divergence on the weekly Bitcoin chart, with higher highs in the price in the candle closes and lower highs in the weekly Bitcoin RSI, which basically tells us we're losing a lot of bullish momentum, slowing down in the bull market. But it's also important to understand, and as I've said recently here on the channel, a bearish divergence by itself does not necessarily guarantee a massive bearish trend reversal, because for example, we did actually see a small bearish divergence on the weekly time frame right here between the price obviously and the RSI, and what came next was a bit of a dump over the next 1 to 2 months, but not necessarily a major 1-year bear market like what we saw in 2022. And so as I always say, we cannot just rely on one singular chart or pattern or indicator. Ultimately, we need to pay attention to a bunch of different information to try and figure out what is most likely going to happen for the price of Bitcoin. And so considering the fact that obviously we have a lot of buying pressure still coming into play, as I mentioned in the beginning of this video, and considering the fact that we've not yet invalidated the larger bullish trend, also known as the bull market, but we do have some of these bearish signals flashing on the weekly time frame, when we're considering all of this information, honestly, a likely scenario over the coming weeks is the price of Bitcoin remaining range bound within a bit of a sideways price range. And the price range I'm talking about is ultimately set up between support and resistance here on this 8-hour Bitcoin chart. So first of all, the lower area of support is sitting in between around 92,000 to 93,000. And we also have this area of support, which we're currently bouncing from as of recording this video, in between 95,000 to 96,000. And when it comes to resistance, the upper side of resistance, the top side of this area of resistance is sitting in between 106,000 to 107,000. And we also have this area of resistance coming into play in between 101,000 to 103,000. And so basically this is forming a massive sideways price range. As we can see, the price for the last couple of months honestly has just been chopping around sideways, seeing massive bullish and bearish movements, but remaining range bound for the most part. But obviously, during some sort of sideways price range like this, you can still make a lot of easy profits in crypto. For example, you can long at support or short at resistance, or if we break a level of support, that could be a short position signal, or if you break out above a point of resistance, that could be a signal to perhaps long the price. And so those are just some very simple ideas, obviously, to develop some simple trading strategies to profit during this sideways price range. And obviously, if you want to trade any of these moves in the price of Bitcoin or any other crypto, personally, I take a lot of my trades over on Bitfinex, so I'll make sure to leave a link to Bitfinex below this video in the description and in the pinned comment. And if you use that link below this video to make your account, I'll take you to this page right here where you can claim some massive bonuses, some massive exclusive bonuses, which you can only claim using that link. So for example, you can get up to a brand new Tesla, or if you don't want the Tesla, you can get 35,000 USDT, which you can actually withdraw if you're trading larger amounts on the exchange, or you could get a brand new Rolex or an Apple Vision Pro, or or even for smaller amounts, you can get 100 USDT futures bonus on the exchange straight into a new account. And so if you're trading crypto anyway, you might as well check this out. Once again, first link below this video, especially if you're trading with larger amounts, you can potentially get some massive prizes here, some massive rewards just simply by trading crypto. But once again, all of this is only available if you use the link below this video to make your account and start trading on that account. If you don't use that link, you cannot claim any of these exclusive rewards. And also, in case you're wondering, BTNX is a no KYC exchange, which means you can access it from basically any country in the world without needing any KYC. But as always, check your local regulations when it comes to trading crypto. So once again, if you want to check it out, first link below this video. And with that being said, getting back into this 8-hour Bitcoin chart. And right now, as of recording this video, the price is currently bouncing from this area of support, as I just said earlier. And we did actually wipe out a small amount of liquidity to the downside over the last one day. We briefly traded below that area of support, but never confirmed a candle close below that level. So we never confirmed a break below support, but we just very briefly dipped below that area of support to wipe out a small amount of liquidity that was sitting at roughly around 95,000. And so as I always say, usually the price of Bitcoin moves towards where there's a lot of liquidity. And right now, the liquidity to watch out for, we do have a lot sitting at around 103,000 and 107,000, but we have smaller amounts still building at just underneath 95,000 and also a small amount building at around 101,000. And so those are the levels to pay attention to on the Bitcoin price chart. And obviously for now, the price is very much respecting these areas of support and resistance, bouncing from support and rejecting from resistance. And if we're taking a quick look at the Bitcoin and crypto funding rates, the Bitcoin funding rates overall are looking very neutral. So ultimately, of course, that's neutral for the price of Bitcoin, pointing towards potentially the price remaining range bound, as I said earlier. But a lot of these altcoin funding rates, in particular the Solana funding rates, are still below neutral, with a lot of the funding rates actually in the negative. And so that holds the possibility of some sort of short squeeze that could play out for the price of Solana if we perhaps break out above some key resistance, which I'll talk about later in the video. But just keep that in mind. There's currently a high demand, a lot of people interested in shorting Solana, which can often cause a bit of a short squeeze for the price of Solana. Once again, as I just said, if we break out above key resistance. But with that being said, taking a quick look at Ethereum on this weekly time frame, and over the last one day, we just confirmed a weekly candle close pretty much right on this ascending line of support that has been support for multiple years now, since around mid 2022. And in case you're new to this channel, this line of support is sitting at just above 2.6k. And so as of right now, at the time of recording this video, we're still currently holding just above this line of support. And if we're taking a look at this 3-day Ethereum chart, the price is also slightly bouncing from this 50% retracement level, which is sitting at around 2.5k approximately. So we're bouncing from very close to 2,500, which is acting as a bit of support. But if we were to see a further breakdown below 2,500 and below this ascending line of support with confirmation, with candle closes to the downside, in that case, I would expect some support at around 2.3k based on these lows, and also a lot of support in this area based on the golden pocket area of support sitting in between around 2150 to 2.2k approximately. And if we're taking a look at the price of Solana on the 8-hour time frame, in the short term, the price of Solana is still technically playing out this bullish divergence, pretty much exactly as I've been saying over the last few days, since when this bullish divergence actually confirmed just a few days ago. But obviously, we're also still running into this area of resistance, causing the price to struggle exactly in this area, exactly as expected. So once again, in case you're new to all of this area of resistance is sitting in between around $199 to $205. So continue to expect the price to struggle in that area. But if we can finally see a confirmed breakout with at least a candle close on the 8-hour time frame above around $205, and especially if we flip that resistance into new support, in that case, the next resistance to the upside is sitting in between around $220 to $225. So basically, if we can sometimes see a breakout above 205, expect a continued bullish relief closer towards around 220, and then around there, expect more resistance. And that's simply due to the fact that this bullish divergence is still active. It's just we're simply getting prevented from going any higher due to this short-term resistance just underneath $205. So if that can finally break, expect the bullish divergence to continue to play out. And as for support, we do have some support at around 190 and more support in this area in between around 178 to 183. And as I just said earlier, with the funding rate, a lot of these Solana funding rates are either below neutral or even in the negative territory, which means there's a high demand to short Solana right now. And oftentimes when a lot of people are trying to pay premiums to short a certain crypto asset, that can result in a short squeeze. But in the immediate short term, we're still struggling around this resistance. So we need to first see a breakout above around 205 with confirmation before potentially expecting a small short squeeze up towards closer towards around 220. And with that being said, if we're taking a look at the price of XRP on the daily time frame, XRP is still continuing this short-term bounce from this area of support, still sitting in between around $2.25 to $2.30. But if we were to see a confirmed break with a daily candle close, for example, below that area of support, below 225, in that case, the next area of support is sitting in between around $1.95 to $2.05. So roughly around $2 as the next significant support. But obviously for now, we're still finding a lot of support in between 225 to 230. And as for resistance, I'll be watching around 258 to $2.73. And above that, obviously a lot more resistance closer towards around $3.20 to $3.30, give or take. And technically speaking, this larger bearish divergence on this daily time frame, also on larger time frames like the 3-day chart, is technically still actively playing out. It's just in the immediate short term, we're taking a bit of a break, a bit of a relief, a short-term pause from this bearish divergence due to the fact that we're currently playing out a short-term bullish divergence here on the 8-hour XRP chart. And so obviously over the last few days, this has been playing out pretty much perfectly as I said it would. I've been saying we're most likely going to see either just a slight bullish relief or some choppy sideways price action as the most common outcomes, the most likely outcomes from a bullish divergence. So not necessarily a massive bullish trend reversal, but just a bit of a relief, a break from all of this bearish price action, but not necessarily the end of all of the bearish price action. So keep that in mind. And if we're taking a look at the price of Chainlink on the daily time frame, Chainlink is currently holding above and actually bouncing from this 50% retracement level, acting as support at around $17.70. So really in between around $17.70 to $18. That's the key area of support to pay attention to. But if we were to see a confirmed break with, for example, a daily candle close below that support, in that case, the next important area of support to the downside is this golden pocket area of support sitting in between around $14.90 to $15.50. And even though we're seeing a slight bounce from this level of support at close towards around $18, of course, in the immediate short term, for maybe over the next 1 or 2 days, we might end up seeing a small break from all of the bearish price action. But technically speaking, the larger price structure is currently more bearish than it is bullish. If we're simply looking at the lower highs and lower lows, for example, and the fact that we have broken below key levels of support and not really seen any major breakouts back above these points of resistance, technically speaking, for now, the price structure is currently bearish despite having a short-term relief or a short-term bounce from this support. And so the resistance points that I'll be watching is mainly at around $19.50 to $20, give or take. So basically, as we start approaching $20, expect a lot of resistance around there based on previous supports becoming new resistance. But remember, if you want to trade any of these moves in the price of any crypto, check out those links below this video to those exchanges if you want to claim those massive exclusive bonuses. And if you want to actually know how to trade crypto, no matter if the price is bullish, bearish, or choppy around sideways, you can profit from all of that price action by watching these videos popping up right here on your screen. The video in the top left shows you how you can profit from bullish or bearish price action using long positions or short positions, and the video in the bottom left shows you how you can easily profit from choppy sideways price action. But anyway, that is everything that I have to say for today. I really hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video.